Are you over 70 and feel like you need to exercise more to stay healthy? What if I told you that less can be more? It's a common belief that the more we exercise, the healthier and stronger we become, especially as we age. But here's the truth. After 70, pushing yourself too hard with intense workouts can actually be harmful. Excessive exercise can cause joint pain, fatigue, and even injuries. So what to do instead? Today, I'm going to share 6 simple yet powerful habits that can help you stay active, energized, and healthy without trying too hard. These alternatives are about balance, activities that promote longevity and well-being, and best of all, they are simple to incorporate into your daily routine. Story number 1. Grandma Ruth's daily walks. When we think about staying active, it's easy to assume that we need to force ourselves with intense exercise routines. But for many people over 70, this approach can actually do more harm than good. An essential piece of advice is this: walking at a comfortable pace can be much more beneficial than forcing yourself to run or jog. Take Grandma Ruth, for example. At 72, she was determined to stay in shape and keep up with her younger friends. She began jogging every morning, trying to match their energy level. But soon, Ruth began to feel pain in her joints, particularly in her knees and hips. Fatigue set in, and instead of feeling refreshed, she became exhausted and sore. She realized that daily jogging was hurting her body, not helping it. So, Ruth decided to change. She began to focus on gentle walking at a more comfortable pace. At first, it seemed like a step back from the intensity of hazing. But over time, she noticed a significant difference. His energy levels improved, and the painful joints that were bothering him lessened. In fact, Ruth found that she regularly walked at a pace that respected her limits and left her feeling more energized throughout the day. By walking at a pace that worked for her body, Grandma Ruth found a new way to stay active and healthy without the risk of injury. And, most importantly, she saw that simple, consistent walking was much more effective than forcing her body into intense exercise that didn't suit her needs. Walking may seem like a basic activity, but for those over 70, it's one of the best ways to maintain mobility, reduce stress, and support heart health, all while respecting your body's limits. Story number 2. George's yoga transformation. As we age, it's common to experience muscle discomfort and reduced flexibility, especially if we're focused on intense activities like weightlifting or cardio. While strength training is essential, it's equally important to include stretching or yoga in your routine to improve flexibility and mobility without putting too much strain on your body. George, at 74, has always been passionate about weightlifting. He was proud of his strength and loved the feeling of power his training provided. However, over time, his body began to change. His shoulders and hips became more rigid, and pain in his lower back began to appear more frequently. Despite his dedication to strength training, he notices that his body no longer moves as freely as it once did. Stiffness and pain depend on your daily life, making even simple tasks uncomfortable. It was then that George decided to try something different: gentle yoga. Initially, he was hesitant. He wasn't sure if yoga would be intense enough to maintain his strength or if it would bring the results he wanted. However, after joining a yoga class for beginners, he will quickly reap the benefits. The gentle poses, combined with focused breathing and controlled movements, help George regain mobility in his shoulders, hips, and back. The pain in his lower back was occasionally occurring, and he began to feel more agile, especially in the mornings when he normally felt more stiff. What surprised George most was how yoga complemented his strength training. Rather than replacing weightlifting, yoga enhanced it. By incorporating stretching and yoga practices, he noticed a greater sense of balance and less muscle tension throughout the day. This also allowed him to maintain better posture and lift weights with less discomfort. George learned that the secret to keeping your body healthy and moving is not just how heavy you can lift or how fast you can run, but rather finding the balance between strength and flexibility. Today, he continues to lift weights, but with the peace of mind of knowing that his body is in better shape thanks to yoga. Story number 3. Eleanor and the discovery of gentle strength. Maintaining muscle strength and bone health is a priority as we age, but that doesn't mean we need to strain our bodies with strenuous workouts. Often, the solution is adapted to the way we exercise, prioritizing movements that respect our limits and still offer impressive results. Eleanor, a determined 78-year-old woman, is the perfect example of how adjusting the pace can transform the way we experience physical activity in old age. For decades, Eleanor was a constant presence in academia. For her, lifting heavy weights was a symbol of strength and independence. He enjoyed the feeling of power and control that the training provided, and was proud of his dedication. However, as the years went by, your body started sending warning signals. Muscles hurt more than before, muscles recovered, and fatigue seemed to last for days after intense workouts. What once made her feel young and active now seemed to be taking a heavy toll. The change was not easy. Eleanor was used to the idea that the more the merrier, and feared that light exercise would not be enough to maintain her strength and vitality. But with constant pain and a fatigued body, she decided to listen to a physiotherapist's advice and try something different, swapping heavy weights for light resistance exercises and bodyweight movements. By introducing geometric stripes into her routine, Eleanor sees something incredible. These small adjustments made a huge difference. Controlled movement with the bands challenged your muscles in a completely new way without causing pain or wear and tear. She started doing squats, lunges, and wall push-ups, simple exercises that didn't require much equipment but were extremely effective. For Eleanor, the impact was transformative. Not only did her pain lessen, but she also began to feel lighter and more energized. Her back pain has given way to flexibility, and instead of feeling exhausted after her workouts, she now feels refreshed. This new approach also brought something unexpected, a deep sense of connection with one's own body. For the first time in years, Eleanor felt like she was taking care of herself, rather than forcing herself to meet unrealistic goals. Today, Eleanor inspires others by sharing her experience. She learned that the secret to aging well is the quality, not the quantity, of exercise. You don't need to lift heavy weights to feel strong. The most important thing is consistency, taking care of your body and choosing activities that promote well-being rather than exhaustion. Story number 4, Bill and the power of mindful breathing. As we age, it is common to feel changes in our energy and physical endurance. What many don't know is that one of the greatest allies for maintaining vitality is not intense or strenuous exercise, but breathing. That's right. Something as simple as breathing consciously can transform our energy, focus, and well-being. The story of Bill, an 80-year-old former marathon runner, is an inspiring example of how slowing down and connecting with your breath can have profound benefits. For decades, Bill was a dedicated runner. He competed in marathons in several states and was always proud of his endurance. For him, running was more than just physical exercise. It was a way to challenge his limits and feel alive. However, as he entered his 70s, Bill began to notice that his body was no longer responding in the same way. Running long distances, something that once filled him with energy, now left him exhausted and sore for days. Despite this, he insisted on continuing, until one day he felt so tired that he decided it was time for a change. The transition was not easy. For someone as active as Bill, the idea of slowing down seemed like a defeat. However, while talking to a friend who practiced meditation, he was introduced to the concept of conscious breathing. Intrigued, I decided to give it a try. At first, it seemed strange to be silent, closing my eyes and just breathing. He felt like he wasn't doing anything. But over time, he began to notice the benefits. As he practiced deep, slow breathing, Bill noticed that his mind became clearer and his energy returned in unexpected ways. He began dedicating a few minutes every day to this practice, focusing on taking a deep breath through his nose, holding it for a few seconds, and then slowly exhaling through his mouth. As the weeks pass, Bill will see something transformative. He felt calmer, less anxious, and most of all, more energized. Even on days when we weren't able to do physical activity, practicing conscious breathing helped him feel revitalized. Furthermore, this new routine also brought benefits to your cardiovascular health, improving circulation and the feeling of tiredness. But the impact didn't stop there. Mindful breathing helped Bill rediscover pleasure in everyday activities. He began to explore levels, reading moments, and even conversations with friends in a more complete and present way. His meditation and breathing practice became a source of internal strength, allowing him to remain active and engaged without needing to push his body beyond its limits. Bill's story teaches us that we don't always need intense physical effort to maintain our health and energy. Often, slowing down and focusing on breathing can help us regain lost balance. Simple practices like mindful breathing are a powerful way to nourish both the body and mind, providing calm, focus, and vitality. If you feel like you're losing energy or that your old pace is no longer sustainable, try following in Bill's footsteps. Dedicate a few minutes a day to breathe deeply and reconnect with yourself. You might be surprised at how something so simple can transform your life. Story number 5, Margaret's Garden, Cultivating Health and Well-Being. Sometimes the biggest transformations come from the simplest activities. For Margaret, 76, it was in the tranquility of her garden that she found a way to stay active, happy, and connected with the world around her. Her story is a perfect example of how small lifestyle changes can bring immense benefits, both for the body and mind. Margaret has always loved gardening. Since he was young, running his hands through the soil and taking care of the plants was his refuge. For her, the garden was more than a green space. It was a place of peace, creativity, and connection with nature. However, as the years passed, the body began to show signs of fatigue. Activities that were previously performed with ease, such as digging or carrying heavy pots, became exhausting. Concerned, Margaret spoke to her doctor, who recommended that she avoid intense physical exertion. Initially, the news shook her. She feared that she would have to give up gardening, something she loved so much, and this brought a feeling of loss. But instead of giving up, Margaret began to make amends for her approach. Instead of trying to tackle big tasks all at once, she chose to break the work down into smaller steps. He started dedicating an hour a day, early in the morning, to taking care of the garden. During this time, she focused on light activities such as observing plants, pulling herbs, and planting flowers. She also found creative solutions to avoid unnecessary effort, replace heavy pots with lighter versions, invest in ergonomic tools, and even garden specs so that plants are within reach, avoiding the need for bending down or limited stretching. These changes have not only made gardening more accessible, but also more enjoyable. The impact of these small changes was surprising. Physically, Margaret noticed that the pain she used to feel in her knees and back had eased. Constant movement, however light, helped improve his flexibility and muscle strength. More than that, time in the garden brought profound emotional benefits. Margaret felt a renewal of her spirits and a significant reduction in stress. With each plant that bloomed, she felt a sense of pride and joy that brightened her days. Contact with nature, the sound of birds, and the feeling of sun on your skin have transformed your garden into a true sanctuary of well-being. Furthermore, gardening also strengthened Margaret's social ties. Her garden began to attract neighbors and friends who came to visit her to admire the flowers and exchange growing tips. These moments of conversation and exchange created a new sense of community, making Margaret feel more connected and less isolated. Margaret shows us that health and well-being are not just found in gyms or intense exercise, but also in small, everyday actions. Her love of gardening kept her body moving and her mind active, while fueling her soul with purpose and joy. If you're looking for a way to stay active without taxing your body, consider following Margaret's example. It doesn't have to be gardening. Any activity that involves movement, level, and brings satisfaction can be transformative. After all, the key to healthy aging is not doing more, but doing what brings us happiness at the right pace for our body. Margaret continues to tend to her garden every day, proving that even in simple activities, we can find the perfect balance between body, mind, and spirit. Story number 6, the Arthur connection, exercising the mind and heart. Aging healthily does not just mean taking care of your body. For Arthur, aged 82, staying active mentally and socially was the secret to a long and fulfilling life. Her story shows how social interactions and intellectual challenges can be as powerful as physical exercise, contributing to complete well-being. Arthur has always been a sociable and curious person. In my youth, I played sports and loved exploring new knowledge. As time went on, however, he discovered that physical activities that were once easily accomplished were no longer as specific or sustainable. Instead of insisting on intense workouts that demand a lot from his body, he decided to focus on what brought him joy and vitality, his mind and his social connections. One day, Arthur was invited by a friend to join a local book club. At first, he was hesitant. Would it be difficult to follow the discussions or adapt to a new routine? But upon attending the first meeting, Arthur immediately felt at ease. The club brings together people of different ages to debate literature, share ideas, and learn together. For Arthur, this experience was more than a pastime. Constant reading and meaningful conversations stimulated his mind, helping him keep his thinking refined and his memory active. He discovered a new love for authors he had never read and loved the exchanges of perspectives that emerged at meetings. Each meeting was an opportunity for intellectual and emotional growth. In addition to the book club, Arthur decided to get involved in volunteer activities. He began dedicating a few hours a week to a project that taught young people how to write resumes and prepare for job interviews. His life experience became a useful tool to help others, and he felt more useful and connected to the community. These interactions brought a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. With each young person he helped, Arthur saw his energy and motivation grow. He saw that by sharing his time and knowledge, he was also benefiting. He felt more excited, useful, and part of something bigger. The impact of these activities on Arthur's health was remarkable. He noticed that his mood was more stable, his anxiety had decreased, and he felt less lonely. Studies have proven that social connections and cognitive activities play a fundamental role in preventing diseases such as depression and cognitive decline, and Arthur was living proof of this. Additionally, your social interactions require the motivation to take better care of yourself. He started eating more consciously, resting better, and even taking short walks in the company of his friends. For Arthur, every small physical or mental effort was more significant because it was linked to something bigger, coexistence and the exchange of experiences. Arthur teaches us that healthy aging goes far beyond exercise and diet. It's about cultivating relationships, challenging the mind, and finding joy in small daily interactions. It shows that even when the body slows down, the mind and heart can continue to grow. If you're looking for ways to stay healthy and fulfilled, follow Arthur's example. Join groups, learn something new, volunteer your time to help others. These simple actions will transform your life. As he discovered, the key to a long and happy life lies in connecting with others and constantly learning. Today, Arthur continues to attend the book club and participate in volunteer activities. He believes that as long as he keeps his mind active and his heart open, his best phase is yet to come. Aging healthily and vitally does not mean overloading your body or following exhausting routines. As we saw in the stories of Ruth, George, Eleanor, Bill, Margaret, and Arthur, the secret is finding balance, respecting your body's limits, and cultivating habits that nourish both the physical, mental, and emotional aspects. Light walking, yoga for flexibility, low-resistance exercises, mindful breathing, daily activities like gardening, and meaningful social connections are examples of accessible and sustainable practices. Each does not require extreme effort, but provides enormous benefits such as improved mobility, muscle strengthening, reduced stress, and a deep sense of purpose and joy. Remember, after age 70, less can be more. Prioritize gentle movement, activities that you love and that bring pleasure to your routine. Longevity is not just about living longer, but about living better, with energy, happiness, and quality of life. May these stories serve as inspiration for you to find your own path towards healthy and fulfilling aging. The most important thing is to listen to your body, value the small moments, and enjoy life with lightness and balance.